Hello! Well, here we are. So for today, I am going to skip the mental math and I'm going to be kind of rushing through, I think, because I'm needing to record this during lunch and I only have a few minutes to do it. So sorry if I just sort of seem to be rushing through everything today. So skipping the mental math, but today we are doing lesson 59, adding integers on the number line, and it seems to all be pretty reviewy, but also has a little bit that I really hope you haven't forgotten. So the first thing that we are talking about is absolute value, and so hopefully you remember the rule about that, the rule being that these horizontal lines mean that you are going to get rid of a negative sign if there's a negative sign in the value that is presented inside, and if there is no negative sign, then you just leave it alone. Oh, great. Hold on. They're about to get really loud outside that window. Okay, so really what it is getting at is how far away from 0 is this value on the number line, whether it's to the left or to the right. So for A, the absolute value of that, since there's a negative sign there, we would just get rid of the negative sign, and so it'd be 2 and 5/10. For B, the value is 100. There is no negative value to it, so that would just be 100. Ta-da! For C, since the value inside is negative 1/2, we would eliminate the negative sign. Just 1/2 instead of negative 1/2. And 0, well, 0 it's not negative 0, which is good because that would be really awkward. But for that, we just leave it as 0. So in simplifying these problems, or these equations, since this is an absolute value question, we are minusing a value of 5 from 3, which would get us a negative 2. But it is asking us what's the absolute value of negative 2, which means we get rid of the negative sign on it, and so the answer is just 2. For B, we don't need to do too much with that. It's just 5 minus 3 is just a regular old 2. And since there is no negative value to it, we just leave it the same. And so that one is also 2. All right, Saxon number lines, which we have done. So we're going to review it really quickly. So normally I'd be letting you, figure this out faster than me, but I do not have that time right now. If you would like to stop the video and try to figure it out faster than me, then you definitely have my admiration and respect. If you just want to watch the demonstration, that's fine too. Okay. So when we look at these, so negative 3 plus 5. So a plus sign just means we're combining values. I'll be kind of color coding these. And so part of this is just utilizing a number line, and part of it is the technique of, I guess, kind of the Saxon number line. So the Saxon number line kind of goes like this. We always start at 0. Then we do these kind of little dashes for our first jump. And our first jump is here, asking us to do a value of -3, which will send us this way on the number line. -3 to the left. Then, once we are done with that, then we combine that with a value of +5. So we can make our little dashy line up here, and then go to the right 5 integers. Okay, done there with that. Okay, I'll take that. All right, so that's a value of +5. I think I like purple for this one. And so then that ends up with our landing point being at 3. So that's the answer for A. And then for B, this time, well, once again, we start at 0. Make my first dashy line and go 4 integers to the left for my value of -4. But then we are combining that with a value of -2. So yes, they could have just said -4 minus 2. It'd be the same thing. But I think they're trying to get across this concept that, plus sign means you're combining things. You're combining values. And in this case, we are combining a value of -4 with a value of -2, which sort of gets us the same net result. So I'm going to do my little dashes, but I'm still going left. Which is going to end up putting me at -6. All right. All right, Carmen borrowed $5 from her sister. Later, Carmen received a check for $25 from her grandmother. After she repays her sister, how much money will Carmen have? All right, so once again, we will start at 0. So our jumping place. I'm gonna make my line red this time because she's kind of going into the red monetarily, and my increments on the number line are going to be at values of 5 because that's kind of the space I've got. So starting at 0, my first arrow is going to go to a value of -$5. But then she gets $25. So we're going to end up going a value of 25 to the right from that point. Which will get us to $20 on the number line. So the answer to that would be $20. Or we could say Carmen has $20. Good job, Carmen. So finally, let's talk about vertical number lines, because sometimes a vertical representation of information is a little bit more intuitive. I'd say things like temperature, because you think about a thermometer that goes up and down, or in this case, elevation works out. So a group of hikers began their trip at the desert floor, 120 feet below sea level. The group camped for the night on a ridge 2,350 feet above sea level. What was the elevation gain from the start of the hike to the campsite? All right, so we are actually starting. So here's my 0 feet. I think goes to 400 feet, minus 400 feet elevation. Let's see. And so 126 feet. And each of these increments is 200 feet at a time. So 126 feet would be a little bit more than halfway down between them. So we could say 126 feet is the start. And, negative, or let's put my negative sign here where you can see it. Negative 126 feet is the start. And so we are essentially combining that little value there. Maybe I'll make that a different color so that make you watch. That little value there between the negative 126 feet and the 0. And then we're going to end up way up here at 2,350 feet, which is quite an amazing day of hiking, if I may say. So I'm going to say, so this is at 2,400 feet. So 2,350 feet would really be just right below that. So we could say 2,350 feet. 50 feet is the end. So what we need to do now is, this is kind of why absolute values can be useful, is we are thinking in terms of the value of 126 feet is the first leg they've got to go in order to get to 0. So we're not going to say negative 126 feet because that doesn't help us solve our question. And we're going to combine that with the rest of the distance, which is 2,350 feet. Which means that the entire elevation of the hike is 2,476 feet. And if you're looking in the book, you might notice there's a typo. They actually added 6 plus 0 equals 8. They have 2,478 feet. Oops. So anyway, typos are everywhere, people. All right, and that is today's math lesson. Once again, sorry for kind of rushing through all that, but everyone's about to come back in. And anyway, hang tight. See you Monday.